everybody? You're on 514 Online Mix, and today we have a very special guest, Pharaoh Freeman. Pharaoh Freeman is a community builder, community leader, networker and project and event coordinator, sales and marketing specialist, spiritual counselor, public speaker, artist manager, entrepreneur, and so much more to this entire community. Wow. You're also a community leader who's coordinating a network over 15,000 people. 15,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Keeps me busy.
You're very, very busy. And, and just reading up on you, as a spiritualist, you said you choose not to take any personal credit for your accomplishments. Can you dive into that for us?
So peace everybody, and thank you again, Priscilla, for having me on. I'm honored. So basically, my background as a spiritualist, I have to say, I was led into creating the OS. And now that we're in these times, I can understand why. So why I don't take a lot of personal credit is because I do give a lot of credit and a lot of respect to the ancestors and to those who came before me.
Yes.
I know I'm the physical doer, so to speak. So I'm inspired. I get these ideas, and I don't let them just fester. I act on them and I move on them. But because it's not to say I sat down and I was like, you know what, I'm going to create this network and it's going to do X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
I was really spiritually led to creating this. It came out of a need, it came out of a necessity. I give this story all the time that my background is in marketing and in sales.
Yes.
Right? So prior to getting involved in community, I was just about business. I was about my money. I was making a good amount of money just doing what I do as an entrepreneur. But then I realized that you can have all the money in the world, but without that sense of community, it's like you'll be stuck in a rat race. And it was the birth of my first son that actually was that awakening for me. It's like, you know what? If I don't try to create a sense of community that he is able to grow up into, then he will be stuck going through the same rat race that I did to get to where I'm at today.
Yes.
So then that was it. That was kind of like the inspiration behind it. But the how to go about it, the what I was doing, I give all the credit to the Spirit for that, because I really was led by the Spirit. So that's why I don't feel comfortable even taking the credit and being like, yes, I'm the person. And it's also the reason why I don't even necessarily feel too comfortable with the term of community leader.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of being a community builder because my objective is to create a structure for our community to be able to build on, to have a foundation to grow on. But my goal is not to be a leader. I find that, and although I understand it and I respect it, right? I'm not mad at it in any way, but it's just that I feel that when we have this concept that we need to be led by somebody,
mm-hmm.
it makes other individuals feel like they don't have the power. And
codependency.
I want the community to feel empowered. I don't want to. That's it. I don't want them to feel that they need to be led by somebody. I want us to build together. I want to be an example. But the idea and the notion of being that leader, being the person that everybody should follow.
Yes.
I don't think that's done good for us for people. I think we'll be better off just learning and building from each other, and then building together. And there's nothing wrong with being an example, but I think it's just if you're striving to be a leader, it gets a little dangerous, because then you have to really be careful at that.
Yes, because I'm sure everything you say and everything you do is being watched by your community, and also by people who are following you. They're going to be like, well, Pharaoh said this, and that's the only way I'm going to go, because Pharaoh said that.
That's it. And the thing is, I tell people all the time, one is, I'm very transparent. I don't mind, I make mistakes like everybody else, right? I could say something, do something. It could be my perspective, and I shared it, and it was it's offensive to other people, whatever the case. But it's just to show that I'm human like everybody else. We all make mistakes, and I want people to question or even challenge. Okay, well, you said this. Why'd you say this? Let me justify it. And there's nothing wrong with you having a different perspective. I tell people that all the time. We don't have to have the same perspective. There's a value in having a difference of opinion and being able to to unite and build for our next generation. So that's kind of like my goal, and that's really like, I guess my motivation in this is really for us to be able to get to a point where we're genuinely building together as a community.
Together, yes. And how many years have you been doing this for?
So the ORC celebrated 10 years.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about that. Like, it took us about 10 years to get to this point. Before launching the ORC, like, I was in the nonprofit realm for maybe like a year or 2 years prior to that. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and I've been in business my entire life experience. As long as I can remember, I've been an entrepreneur. But being involved in communities, about 10 years. Well, I say about 10 years. Yeah, so we celebrated our 10 years.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I need to know how you keep saying, because you hosted an event that will take place basically tomorrow, the 29th, 8 p.m., which is about a conversation with Black men about the issues they face, and it's actually hosted by Karen Carrington. And how important is it to take care of your mental health during this time, and how do you stay sane?
A very, very good question. Thanks for asking. So even prior to these crazy times that we're in, like, I had to develop routines in terms of how I function to be able to stay sane. Because managing a network as large as ours, like, I do receive an excessive amount of messages, right? And it's like, and again, like, I'm not complaining. I'm grateful because it shows that the community, they do respect the OFC. They respect us enough to reach out to us when they need help and things like that. So that I'm very grateful for. But the reality is, I do get a lot of messages, right? I get a lot of pings, I get a lot of calls, I get a lot of messages. So even prior to COVID, in order to stay sane, I had to develop a mentality of having love for everybody, but not caring at the same time.
Yes.
And I'll explain what that means. So what I mean by that is that, like, I love you enough as a sister in our community to provide to you what I can. So if I can give you the information, I'll provide it to you. But I'm not here to try to convince you of anything. I'm not here to argue with you about a thing. Like, I'll do what I can for the community, but I won't give up my life for it, right?
Exactly. Yes.
It's like that. Then I'm doing a disservice to my own self, and I'm doing a disservice to my family, right? So, like, I will give, and not to say I won't give my 100. I'll give my 100%. But I won't overdo, right? I really will, like, if a person wants to go down that road, I will let you go down that road. I'm like, okay, awesome, all the best, and however that works out for you, it's all love. But know that we're still here to help. If you need us, we're here, but I'm not going to go down the road for you. I'm not going to fight you and try to keep you from going down that road. Because I believe that, again, with everybody being a God within themselves and having the power within themselves, I feel that if you're so strongly led to do something, it's best to let you do it, because it could just be a part of your experience. Maybe you have to go through that. I'm never trying to prevent you from something, but life needs you to go through this route to be able to get to where you need to go. So I'm just here to provide resources and create tools. Now when this whole COVID thing happened, it increased. It's crazy because, again, understanding what we do, like, and for those who don't know, like, the OFC provides support to communities, provides support to individuals, to businesses, as well as organizations. So when the whole thing started to hit, that the influx of calls we were getting was nuts. Like, so that is, and again, I understand, and this is our work to do, which was to say, okay, you know what? Like, people are having a hard time getting access to masks, to sanitizers, there was all kind of crazy things going on. People had suffered from anxiety, depression. So while on one level we're working towards making sure that our community gets access to the basic needs, that like necessities, like hygienic necessities, we're also in parallel working on creating like workshops, platforms for people to be able to express themselves, speak, get things off their minds. And just finding different alternatives. A couple of people, we put them in contact with some of the spiritual leaders that we have in the network, because they again, just to help give them like a base, a foundation that they didn't feel like they had before. So the strain was a lot, and even myself, I had to take a moment to go see my spiritual guides as well, just to be able to be reminded on what my purposes and to explain what was happening because it's like it was all happening so fast.
Yes.
And it really like what and like what really gave me a peace was understanding that this what we're experiencing. It's like it's funny to say, but it's like it had to happen. Because it created like an awakening. It made people actually start to look at life differently,
Same
look at
here.
themselves differently, look at their businesses, appreciate life, like appreciate the little things because we became very materialistic. But then when you no longer like had access to be able to go get the material things, you actually started more take stock of life and you started appreciating life a little bit more. So all these things actually had to happen. And then like another thing that gave me peace was understanding that it's a transition like it's not the first time humanity has gone through this type of transition, right? It's just we're just blessed, and I say blessed, and I use that word on purpose because we intentionally came to the planet in this time, knowing that we were signing up for this kind of what we consider as craziness, but in the spiritual realm, we signed up for this knowing we wanted to be a part of the evolution, right?
Yes.
So just that knowing gave me such a peace, right? In my spirit, in everything that I'm doing, and it just helped. I'm speaking for myself personally. Like it did really help me to grasp, get a better grasp on what's happening. And I think the last key thing that I took from that, and not to go too long, was just that um, it's all it's going to take for us to get past this stage is that awakening as a people. It's for us to understand that we are practical people. We actually can overcome this. We're not victims. We're not we're not that's what I say. We're not victims. We actually have the power to overcome and we could create the day that we want to see. We could create the world that we want to see. So I feel like my responsibility is just continue to be that hope, continue to give people something to build towards. It's to kind of get people mentally out of the rut, so to speak, get them to start thinking differently, get them to start being optimistic about things. So despite what they're seeing on the news, there is a silver lining. So it's like, to encourage people to take their TVs off because the news is really not doing anything positive for us. So we do need to start superseding that. And just last thing in closing, when it comes to brothers in the community, especially because the workshop that we're promoting, and so we know it's like this is not an OFC workshop, but just so anybody listening understanding, we promote everything. Like things are going on in the community, as long as it's going to be positive, there's a plus to it, we will promote it. It doesn't necessarily have to be an OFC initiative. So this one is not an OFC initiative, but we see that something as a value, so it's our pleasure to promote it and share it.
Wow,
and
okay.
as men in the community, definitely, I want to encourage that the men just practice communicating because it's like that we came up being taught that it's like it's not necessarily cool or macho or tough to talk about how you're feeling. But in the times that we're in right now, there's a value in talking about how you're feeling. Like there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with being like uncertain. There's people who just they're not talking because they just don't know what is going to come. They don't know what to do. Like it's just like and like what I've been working on for years. Like because of COVID, it's now on pause. Like I don't know what to do with myself. Like that's a genuine feeling, and there's nothing wrong with talking about that, and it's blessed. Like I love to be able to see other brothers coming together and lifting each other up and giving each other that encouragement and just being there to come together and to support each other. So so I think it's huge. It's a very, very important topic, and as a community, we should not shy away from talking about how we're feeling next.
I agree, and especially as women, we're also grow up on the idea of that men can't express their feelings, and men can't say when they're tired. So as sisters, we need to listen to one another. We need to listen to our kings, and we need to listen to our queens, especially during these troubled times. We need one another. Yes.
That's it. That's it. And the Spirit had shown me it's like that's why. And they even told me in my first reception, that's why they led me to create the OFC. Because in order to, I want to say win against this, but maybe that's not the right term. But in order to surpass this, we have to come together. And if you notice, for some weird reason, society is working very hard at separating us, keeping us distancing from each other. Like now we're at a point, it's unfortunate, but we're at a point where we almost see each other as enemies because we've been conditioned we don't come to like, but for us to survive and thrive as a people, we actually do need each other. We do need to come together. We do need to have that bond. Like, so the OFC, it creates that. It creates that sense of community. It creates that sense
Yes.
of, you know what, like, I got your back. Like the fact that a member could reach out to us and say, I'm hungry. Like, is there anybody I could help? And then we actually have members that would say, you know what, I could donate some food. Like we had a member move here from Paris, and she was stuck because she was quarantined. She couldn't get access to her groceries. So we had a member that actually went and did her grocery shopping for her. Now these are things that it's like, as a people, like this should just be, we should do this for each other. But unfortunately, society is not doing that. Society is not encouraging that. Society is not creating a space for it. So that's what we're doing within the OFC.
Amazing. And your show, The Morning Detour, you switched to Fridays till Thursdays, is that correct?
Yeah, so just to explain how that works, so
yes.
the morning detour was a separate show. So now we have another show that is all OFC, that is the Empower Hour. So that's on Thursday.
Yes, okay.
So before the OFC, we had a segment on the morning detour show. So now, basically, just because we have a difference of opinion and a difference of let's call it that, a difference of opinions in terms of how the direction of the show was going and what the goal was, right? So is why it was better for the OFC to kind of do our own thing, to not like step on anybody's toes. People are welcome to do whatever they want. I told you I'm big on I'm a very big live and let live kind of person. So when it wasn't working anymore, it was best that we just separate. So they have the morning detour, and now the OFC, we have the Empower Hour.
Yes, the Empower Hour.
Showcase a lot of what's going on in the community.
Yes. I listen to that on Thursdays. I think it's 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Or is it earlier than that?
7 to 9.
7 to 9 a.m. Okay. Usually I'm in the car by 8.
The second hour.
Yeah.
7 to 9.
Yeah, usually I'm in the car by 8, and I'm always listening to 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. pretty much, right? And you guys have some interesting topics. Sometimes it makes me laugh, sometimes it makes me inspired, and sometimes it definitely uplifts me to be like a better fellow community person. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together, And your show kind of reminds me of that, like that. I'm not alone. There's people who look like me and who are talking about things that matter to me as well. That's very important to me. So thank you for your show.
It's my pleasure, and again, that was the goal of the show. Like in terms of the Empower Hour, for us, we really wanted to focus on like what's real to us. When I was younger, I used to have a thing called the OFC Good News.
Yes.
And it was just because I wanted to create an opportunity for people to get informed, but not be inundated with the negativity. And again, understanding that I'm a spiritualist first, so I want to build you up. I want you to feel good because I know the power of feeling good, and I know the power of feeling bad, right? So it's like, and if you look at the news right now, 90% of it makes you feel terrible. If by the time you're done watching the news, if you don't have anxiety, you're super strong, because the average person watching the news will come out of it like feeling terrible.
Yes.
It's like you're worried, things that you weren't aware of, now you're aware, but it's all negative. So it's like, so I really try to, within the space that we have, to share some positivity. Within 2 hours, we don't ignore what's happening. So, at times it's negative and we gotta let people know what's happening. But the goal of what we do is really to empower and uplift and educate, and inspire if we can. So thank you for that. Thank you for supporting me.
Well, thank you. And so you celebrated Kwanzaa this year.
Yes. Yeah, we still are. Yes. So yesterday was Kuji Chakalia.
Yes.
Today is Ujima. You right?
Can you tell us about those two?
So yesterday was self-determination.
Yes.
And today is what Ujima is.
That's collective work and responsibility. Right?
Thank you.
I saw that from you. So you see how those seeds are sown?
Yeah. Beautiful. it's those little things, like it's just creating that opportunity for people to know. But yeah, so that's it. So we celebrate Kwanzaa this year. I'm grateful because we've been able to take part in a virtual Kwanzaa presentation. So I gotta definitely big up. It's a company called Melanized Media.
Okay.
That is hosting it. They're based in the States. They aren't overseas members yet. I say yes, or I'm definitely reach out to them.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but they're hosting a full Kwanzaa presentation where they every night you go through a different principle. So for those who don't know, Kwanzaa is over 7 days. Every night from the 26th to the 1st, you acknowledge a different principle that is called an African/virtual principle that allows us to just reflect a little bit. So it's not as material as a conventional Christmas, so to speak. You still get gifts and stuff like that. My children get gifts pretty much every Kwanzaa night, which is dope. But it's more of a coming together as family and more of just understanding our purpose, and it allows us, the way we do it at our house, we do the full Kwanzaa ceremony, so to speak, where there's lighting of candles and different things like that. But we have each children explain what the principle means to them and how they plan on implementing it into their life experience. So it makes it real. There's a certain connection to it that's a little bit different than just sharing gifts and calling it a day. Like us, it's more conversation, more building, more reflective and stuff like that. And we're able to plant the seeds in children.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. And Pharaoh, I think once I've seen you speak to Charlamagne Tha God. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, he came on your show?
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you get in touch with him?
I'll explain. So basically, for us, the OFC, we support a lot of different community initiatives and stuff like that. So we had our brother Tig Lindall, who is the owner of Influence Orbis, where they host lectures, they host different speakers to come into the city. It's awesome what they do. They've had Gary B, Charlamagne Tha God, tons of different people. So in that case, OFC was one of the sponsors when Charlamagne Tha God came. And so it just so happened it was convenient for us, and with that sponsorship, we had an opportunity to actually speak with Charlamagne Tha God and interview him. Use some clips from the interview for our radio show and stuff as well, which is really cool. So that's what we did, and we were able to ask him. I took the opportunity to speak to him about building as a community economically, right? And and so it was a really good opportunity just to be able to have that exchange with him. He has tons of information. He does a lot within the community himself. So it was good. It was a great opportunity just to be able to have that exchange. So he's one of the people we've had. I guess one of the celebrities we've had an awesome opportunity to exchange. I think there'll be a lot more. Of course. But he's one that is a real great to with him as well.
Wow. Pharaoh. Pharaoh. Every time I hear that song, I think of you. Honestly, it's an old ancestral chant, and I just love it. And I think about you. Thank you so much for being here on 514 Online Mix. It was honestly a pleasure to speak with you. This has been one of my dreams. This has been one of my little girl checklists. So I know the spirits led me here because this is what I chose. Is the one day speak to a king and a pharaoh like you. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate the ancestors that are guiding us and leading us to this moment right here. Thank you.
I love that, Queen. Thank you. I thank you all for what you're doing at 514 Mix as well. And doing your part. We each have a small part to play, and I feel like if we all just do our small part, it's going to come together in a really powerful way. You have a platform, you have a passion for what you're doing, you have a love that comes through when we speak. So just basically, I want to continue to encourage you as much as I can, and just thank you again for the opportunity and for giving us this platform to be able to speak with. So thank you again, and wish you guys all the best.
We appreciate you. Thank you. And take care. We'll contact you soon. Peace.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Yes.
Peace, love.
Peace, Pharaoh.